Hey, it's Lynne Brown. I'm a speaker, trainer, and coach with the John Maxwell team and a teaching partner with Empowered Living. In the first half of my life, I literally spent people pleasing. In my spare time, I was trapped by the opinions of other people. And then to top it off, and if that wasn't enough, I personally just had a broken mindset. Now, I was not aware of all that at the time, but one day I can remember exactly where I was standing, what time of day it was, and I just drew the line in the sand. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I don't know if you've ever experienced that in your own life, but I truly knew that there was more, and I took a step in the direction of my dreams. It was that day that I bet on myself for the first time in my whole life. And not that I had it all figured out, because I was really clueless. The only thing I knew was that I wanted to change. And I took a step in the direction of my dreams. And then shortly after that, it's when I found this quote from Wayne Dyer that said, when you change the way that you look at things, the things that you look at will change. And I was like, this is happening in my life right now. And I mean, that was almost 7 years ago, and I am still like drinking from the fire hose. And every day I wake up super excited. Just like today, I'm super excited to introduce to you our guest for today's Gritty Women Global podcast. And my new friend, Kathy Sanderson, is just filled with passion and compassion for people. And she's going to share with you about what she does and about who she is. She is a business owner of Healing from Within. So to all of our listeners all over the world, let's welcome our friend, Kathy Sanderson. Kathy, welcome to the show. What are you most excited about today? What's happening with you?
Well, Lynn, thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to be on this show. I am a inner child healer and spiritual therapist, and I was listening to your introduction, and everything that you've described would have been set in your childhood. And that's why I'm so excited about what I do, because for so many people, just like you say, I didn't know there was another way. I thought that was normal. I had this broke mindset. I was a people pleaser. Everything I did, I worried about what was going to happen, how I would appear. And people think that that's life. But it isn't. There is another way. And that's why I'm so excited about what I do, because I'm able to show people where in their childhood this belief was established, that they believed somebody else's beliefs about themselves and not who they truly were. And once you realize that, like you had that revelation when you saw that Wayne Dyer quote, once you realize why you're doing something, it's so easy to change what you're doing. But until you realize why you're doing it, you just can't, because you don't know where you need to change. You've got to have that revelation.
So true. I mean, literally now I know, but then, I was trying to do things that I didn't know how to do. And truly, wouldn't you agree? You can't give what you don't have. I mean, you can't give what you don't have.
No.
And I was just stuck there. And then, it was shortly after that, as I began to grow, and just little steps I was making were having such a big impact on my overall results in my life. And I truly realized then that, and now I, of course, with all my coaching clients and teams I work with and stuff, but now it's like, what you are aware of, you can fix. What you are aware of, you can fix. And they will look at me sometimes like, are you sure? Do you believe that for me? I'm like, yes, I can tell you because it happened in my life. I believe it for you. So borrow my belief. So what would you say to our viewers today? The women and men, whoever's listening, the ones that are thinking, wow, I wish I could be like Kathy, or, I wish I could get more of that. I wish I could be a gritty woman. What could you tell them that they could do just to begin the first step? What was something that you did?
I did not know that everything from my childhood was still affecting me. I thought I had a good childhood, because I did. You know, I've never been pulled off by social services. I had, my parents were together. We had a car. We used to go abroad on holidays. I went on the school holidays. Now, they are expensive. So looking in, you would not think that I had a reason to feel like I did. And that was a confusion, because I looked and I couldn't see a part, you know, I wasn't abused. I wasn't, there wasn't nothing that I could pull out. And it was only when I started to look, because somebody told me that isn't right, you're conflicted. So the fact that my mum told me I felt I was loved, but I never felt loved, meant that I always felt ungrateful. I always felt selfish. I always felt evil. And when you've got that mindset, because you're not happy, but you should be happy, and people are looking at you and you've got everything and you're not happy, well, how damn ungrateful are you? And that just follows you all the way through your life. And it gets to the stage where something happens and you don't know how to accept it, because you're used to being ungrateful. You don't know how to accept the happiness. You don't know how to bring the happiness into your life, because you've never been happy. So becoming consciously aware of why you feel a certain way is the first step. And it's that step, because when you're aware of something, as we've said, we can do something about it. If I don't know how to be happy, then I have to learn how to bring happiness into my life.
That's exactly right.
And it's that realization that's so powerful.
Wow. And wouldn't you find that there's so many people just waiting for fate to change? I mean, they're just waiting for their circumstances. You know, if it's raining outside, they're waiting for it to be sunny to be happy, or whatever the deal is. That's just an example, but they're waiting on their outside circumstances to change. And really, you know, the key to the whole thing is change from within. But most people would just rather say, you know what, it's just fate. It's just, it is what it is. It's just my life. This is it. I'm going to coast through.
And give it to someone else, rather than claiming it back and saying, well, actually, this is my life. I'm going to take control of it. And, you know, when you do that, you move out of victim mode.
You're right.
And it's so powerful, because if you're not in victim mode, then you're actually having to control your life. You're not used. Some people have never had to do that before. So it's examining everything that's happening and saying, why is it happening? And it is a real mind shift. But once you're doing it, how empowered do you feel knowing that you're in charge of everything?
Wow. That's powerful. And I think you said it, you know, we have to ask ourselves the questions. We have to sit in the question. You know, the questions reveal the answers, and we have to be willing to sit still, turn the noise off, back away from the screens, be comfortable enough, even though it's uncomfortable, to sit quietly with ourselves and ask ourselves these questions, and be as honest as we know how to be. And then, you know what I tell people all the time, or I encourage people to do, is to write it out. You know, just write it all out. And if you don't want anyone to ever see it, guess what? Take the paper you've written on when you're done, and after you've just studied into it and reflected on it, go burn it in the yard. I don't know what you need to do. Shred it, tear it up, but get it out and get it on paper and marinate with it, you know, soak it in, take it in. And wow, people are so close, you know, aren't they? They're so close to the breakthrough.
But, you know, some of them will never find it. And some people find it impossible to stop being busy, because when you stop being busy, then you've got your thoughts to come. So to tell somebody that they can write it out, well, they'll never find time, because to be honest, when you stop, then they come. So you must stay busy. And then, but you can stop. You can stop at the end of the day when you're exhausted, so you can't go there anywhere and you're just tuning out to the TV. But during the day, and that's something I struggled with. I can now sit with my husband. My husband's great at just sitting. He works very hard, but if he wants to just rest, he can. And my kids will sit and watch films, but I could never sit with them because along with the fact of all those things coming up, my dad thought everybody who sat still was lazy. So, you know, you've got two things fighting at you, but I can do it. I can sit and I can watch a film, and I'm so proud of myself that I made myself do that.
Wow. That word busy, I'm so glad that you brought that out, because it's something that I have just been, the last couple of weeks, I've really been thinking about that word. And, you know, it's such an overrated word, and some people wear it as a badge of honor. You know, they're either, when you ask people how they're doing, they say busy or tired. That's their two. I mean, that's like the little canned statement that they say. And I'm like, busy is just avoidance behavior. Being busy, and you hit it on the head. And I've had several of my clients tell me that they would just rather be busy than sit quiet in the reality, because you're right. That's when those thoughts come. That's when the stuff comes. And until we slow down and face it head on, it will always be the thing, whatever the thing is, that holds us back.
And when we're busy, of course, we're not able to push ourselves forward either, are we? We've always got a reason why we can't read that book. I'm terrible. I love Audible, because then I can actually listen to books.
Yeah.
But, you know, I sit down to read a book and I fall asleep. And I need to get myself through that. But when we're busy, then we're not able to push ourselves forward, are we? We can't start that new project. We can't start that learning because we're too busy.
That's right. It's just a safety zone, isn't it? A comfort zone. Busy is just a comfort zone. It's just a way to keep us stuck. It sounds so powerful. I'm so busy. I'm like, well, what are you? Busy doesn't mean that you're seeing results. Busy doesn't mean that you're making progress. You know, busy is just busy.
You know that song? It's going through my head now. Busy doing nothing.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
That's what I used to sing. My mum used to say it about my dad because he's always so busy. He's like, busy doing nothing. I sing it with my kids.
I love that. I love that. But it's so true. And it's such an avoidance behavior, and it just keeps us at a distance from truth, our true north, our true self, authentic relationships with people. It just keeps us at a distance. Busy is just like, it's just like a little cloud around us that just keeps us boxed in and safe in a stagnant, not a good
But
place.
what I've also realized is when you actually sit still and you allow those thoughts to come, sometimes they're not as bad as you thought they were going to be. Because you've learned, haven't you? And you've got your knowledge now, and you can see why these things happened. And, you know, perhaps it wasn't all your fault. Perhaps you can see why these things happened. Wow. So, you know, it isn't as scary. Sometimes, you know, we think that we're fearful. We can't let those thoughts come. But perhaps maybe we should try.
That's right. They're not, oftentimes they're not as big as we have built them up to be into our mind. Wow. What, how can people get in touch with you?
So my website is healingfromwithin.co.uk, and my Facebook is Healing From Within UK. And I do have a group, and we'll put that in the links, I hope, for people who just want to free themselves from everything they've experienced as a child and no longer be that person and held back by other people's beliefs about them, who are ready to move into the person they were meant to be. And that's a free Facebook group with lots of support.
That's awesome. I have a couple of people I'm thinking right now that have just popped in my head that I will certainly direct your way. And when we launch the podcast, all your bio, all your links, all your contact info will be put there with it. So when we push it out, we'll let you know when ahead of time, and all of our communities will be able to get in touch with you through that bio. So we just appreciate you so much sharing your time with us today. And I always like to find out from our guests, you know, when you saw the Gritty Women podcast, G stands for gratitude, R is for resilience, I is for, you know, be an inspiration. T, the two T's are think tough, and Y is you do you. What part of Gritty resonated with you?
All of it, I guess. If you knew my story, you would say resilient. I've suffered 15 miscarriages in 10 years, 12 in the past 4 or 5 years. So I'm proof that you can get through anything.
Wow, you are. And I don't know if this is okay, but Kathy, would you consider coming back on the show, like for a little part 2, and sharing us your story, just with what you just told us now about all you went through with your miscarriages?
I'd love to, if it's going to help people, definitely.
I definitely want you to, because there are so many women that have experienced that. And I totally believe that that's one thing you do need to have experienced yourself, to be able to really understand, all the emotions that you experience and how you come back from that. So that would be awesome if, you can find some time in your schedule to, I know you're not going to be too busy, because we've just already talked about busy.
No, definitely not busy.
Can't be too busy. So I know that we'll be able to connect and find a time. We'd love to have you back on the show to share that, because I think that would be so liberating for women, who've experienced that. So again, thank you today for sharing your life with us, and I appreciate your work. I don't believe there's any more important work in our world right now than what you're doing, and adding, just empowerment, equipping, and encouraging women all over the world. So thank you so much. Remember, gritty is the new strong, gritty is the new pretty, and I look forward to part 2 when we bring you back on the show. So be well.
Thank you.